Right friends, we are into the 5th week, and as usual, every week we are discussing one lecture session as well as 2 question and answer sessions. And for this week we are going to discuss lecture session. The week is from 26th of January to 1st of February. And what are the important events of the week? Undoubtedly, Mr. Barack Obama's visit along with First Lady of USA. Then the other important aspects of the week are successful trial of Agni from canister. I would like to explain what is canister. And next important event is there is a controversy with regard to the preamble. I would like to explain what exactly the controversy. Next is Mr. Shekhar Sen appointed as the Sangeet Natak Academy chairperson. That is another event. And if you look at the other events, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj's visit to China, next terror attack in Libya, next swearing in of new Prime Minister of Greece, Mr. Alexis Tsipras, then the largest disinvestment of Coal India Limited, which fetched more than 22,000 crores. At the same time, Apple becoming the largest company, it broke all the previous records of profit earned in a quarter. The other event is Vodafone case, government not willing to contest the judgment of the Bombay High Court. So these are the important events. One by one we are going to discuss these events, right? The first and the foremost event is Mr. Barack Obama's visit. Last week we discussed about the part of the visit of Mr. Barack Obama. That was on 25th of January. Some agreements were signed. One pertains to strategic defense agreement for 10 years. The second pertains to nuclear deal. These two events we covered last week. We are going to cover the events of this week starting from 26th January. 26th January being the Republic Day, he was the chief guest of the celebrations. Mr. Barack Obama was the chief guest of Republic Day celebrations. I would like to remind you 3 things with regard to Mr. Barack Obama's visit. Barack Obama is the first USA president to be the chief guest of Republic Day celebrations. The second important point is he is the president of USA who visited India twice. 2 times during his tenure he visited. He is the first president in this regard. And the third important event is he is the first premier to address the nation along with the Prime Minister through All India Radio. These 3 firsts we discussed last week also. So now coming back to the Republic Day celebrations, as usual, the Prime Minister arrived at Rajpath after paying floral tributes at Amar Jawan Jyoti near India Gate. Amar Jawan Jyoti near India Gate, and Prime Minister received at the venue. Subsequently, Mr. Barack Obama came by his vehicle. This is a departure from the protocol. Normally the chief guest arrives in the president's car, but this time President of USA came in his own vehicle. That is the name of the vehicle I have already told you last week. That is the Beast. Right? Later on, President arrived, hoisting of the tricolor flag. After that, the defense forces showing their might. Subsequently, tableaus of 16 state governments and 9 central departments. And subsequently, release of balloons in air. These are all of the functions normally being done every year, right? And look at the previous presidents or premiers who were the chief guests at Republic Day celebrations. I would like to remind you, in 2014, Mr. Shinzo Abe, Japanese Prime Minister, was the chief guest, and in 2013, Jigme Wangchuk of Bhutan was the chief guest. Remaining things you can see from this chart, right? So this is about Republic Day celebrations. During the Republic Day celebrations, brigade of Guards and Sikhs got the first prize in services category. Tableau of Maharashtra got the first prize in tableau category. CISF got the first prize in paramilitary category. So these three things, don't forget, that is Brigade of Guards and Sikhs got the first prize in services category. Tableau of Maharashtra got the first prize in the tableau category, as well as CISF got the first prize in the paramilitary forces category. These three things don't forget, right? Let us move on to the next, Mr. Barack Obama's visit. So, I would like to tell some sidelights in this regard. First and the foremost is, he was in open air for more than 2 hours as per the instructions of Secret Service, which takes care of the security of the president. As per the instructions of Security Service, which takes care of the security of the president, he should not be in open air for more than 45 minutes. He should not be in open air for more than 45 minutes. Right? The other one is, instead of coming by the president's car, he came by his own car, that is the Beast. This is little away from the protocol, right? So these things don't forget. And the Republic Day parade went on peacefully and high security arrangements. And let us move on to the next one. The same day, Mr. Barack Obama participated in India-US Business Summit as well as India-US CEO's Conclave. India-US Business Summit as well as India-US CEO's Conclave and India-US Business Summit, he announced new investments worth approximately $4 billion. He announced new investments worth $4 billion, out of which $2 billion are for renewable energy projects, $1 billion for improvement in SMEs in India, and $1 billion for credit who export the goods from America to India. So he announced $4 billion worth of investments in this regard, and he stated that the trade between the two countries improved by 60% during the past 2 years and is set to reach $100 billion. Trade between both the countries improved by 60% during the past 2 years and set to reach $100 billion as stated by Mr. Obama. However, the exports of India to USA are just 2% of USA's total imports. Remember, we are not a major trading partner with USA, right? Next, the same day, the Prime Minister and the President addressed the India-US CEO's Conclave. India-US CEO's Conclave. From Indian side, it is headed by Mr. Cyrus Mistry, Chairman of Tata Group, and from US side, it was headed by David Cote, CEO of Honeywell Group. David Cote, CEO of Honeywell Group, and from India and from USA side, several industrialists participated in this, right? So, next one. On the last day of his visit, he addressed approximately 1500 to 2000 gathering at Siri Fort Auditorium, and his main focus was religious tolerance. Everyone should have freedom to preach his own faith. That was the parting speech given by Mr. Obama, and on the same day, his address was broadcast through All India Radio Mann Ki Baat program along with the Prime Minister. So this concluded his visit. Finally, he left India to go to Saudi Arabia in view of the demise of the King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. Right? This is about Mr. Barack Obama's visit. Now, let us look at the another important event. This is with regard to the first trial of Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. This is ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, which can carry nuclear warheads. This is Agni missile. This was test fired. One important event I would like to tell you is, this was test fired from a canister. Canister is nothing but it is a form of a truck. It was test fired from truck. That means this missile can be launched from anywhere across the country. It can be launched from open spaces. It can be launched from roads. It can be launched from anywhere because it was test fired from canister. That is a form of a truck. It was tested from Tatra truck. And this took place at Wheeler Island in Odisha. So from there, they launched this because the truck or the canister should be in a position to withstand lot of forces which are being generated when the missile takes off. It's a big achievement, and finally in the testing, after 5,000 kilometers of traveling into the sky, finally it has gone down into Indian Ocean, right? So this warhead has got range of 5,000 kilometers. It can carry 1.1 ton of nuclear equipment, nuclear warhead, right? So it can go up to 5,000 kilometers by carrying 1.1 ton of nuclear warhead, and this is launched from canister. Canister is nothing but a truck, right? Mr. Avinash Chandra was the Director General of DRDO when this launch took place, and he finally relinquished that day because he was sacked previously. We have discussed in the previous weeks. Director General of DRDO was sacked, so he finally relinquished that post on the same day, right? This is an important event in the history of Indian Defence Forces, and Mr. Avinash Chandra told that they are going to be introduced shortly, right? So let us move on to the next event. There was controversy over the preamble in government advertisements. I would like to make it clear that initially Constitution was adopted and it came into effect on 26th of January 1950. In fact, in the preamble of the initial Constitution, there was no mention of secular socialist. Though our country is very much secular, very much socialist in those days, but these two words were not included in the preamble of the Constitution, right? Subsequently, these two words were introduced by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in the year 1976 by 42nd Amendment to the Constitution. By 42nd Amendment to the Constitution, these two words were included in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Recently, some advertisement appeared in the newspapers without these two words. There was a lot of controversy, but the government claimed that the advertisement was reproduced from the original writing and artwork of the Indian Constitution's preamble in the year 1950. The speculation and the controversy was put to rest. As they have taken the original work of 1950, the preamble did not carry the two words socialist and secular. So the controversy was set at rest. I would like to tell you two things in this regard. The entire Constitution was handwritten by Mr. Prem Bihari Narayan Raista. The entire Constitution was handwritten by Mr. Prem Bihari Narayan Raista, and the artwork of the Constitution, if you look at the pages of the Constitution or page of the preamble, you can very well see the artwork. The artwork of the Constitution was done by the famous painter Nandalal Bose. The entire Constitution was written own handwriting of Prem Bihari Narayan Raista and Mr. Nandalal Bose, famous painter, done the artwork for preamble and the Constitution, right? Let us move on to the next one. Mr. Shekhar Sen, who is famous for his monoplays like Tulsi, Kabir, Vivekananda, Surdas. For his mono acting, for his monoplays, Mr. Shekhar Sen is famous. He was appointed as the new chairman of the Sangeet Natak Academy. Already Padma Shri winner, eminent singer and theatre director, right? he was appointed as the new chairman of Sangeet Natak Academy. I would like to tell you, Sangeet Natak Academy is the autonomous body funded by Ministry of Culture, and it was established in 1953, and it is basically to promote drama, dance and music. Right? Let us look at the next one. One is visit of External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj to China. She visited China via Kunming and she landed in Beijing. She attended RIC meet. RIC meet means Russia, India, China trilateral meeting of foreign ministers. She attended that meeting, right? She clearly pointed that the present century is Asian century. She opened Visit India year in China. She inaugurated second India-China Media Forum and she met the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping. These are the events of this week with regard to the visit of External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj to China. The remaining events we will discuss next week because she stayed there on Monday also, right? Next one. Look at this terror attack at Tripoli where 8 persons were killed. Right? Tripoli is the capital city of Libya. The hotel, Corinthia Hotel, is the famous hotel in Tripoli. And in that hotel, 2 masked gunmen entered and fired indiscriminately, killing 8 persons, including 4 foreigners. I would like to tell you, Libya is almost into civil war. There are 2 governments. One is headed by the Prime Minister and based at Tripoli, that is known as Libya Dawn government, and the other government is ruling from other part of the country, that is Tobruk, that is known as the Dignity government. One government is ruling from Tripoli, the other government is ruling from Tobruk. Because of this, there is a civil war within the country, and because of these civil wars, attacks and counter-attacks are taking place. And in the case of civil war, in most of the cases, common civilians will face many problems in the country. The same situation now in Libya, right? So please remember, the terror attack at Tripoli is because of the civil war between 2 groups taking place in that country. Okay, let us move on to the next issue. Alexis Tsipras. I have already told you last week, in the Greece elections, Syriza party, this is anti-austerity party, was elected and they won 149 seats out of 300. 149 seats out of 300. Alexis Tsipras became the new Prime Minister of Greece and the outgoing Prime Minister was Antonis Samaras. So the new Prime Minister is Alexis Tsipras. He is basically heading the anti-austerity party. You see, Greece was in deep trouble during 2008 to 2010. To bail out that nation, European Central Bank as well as IMF gave $269 billion loan, but they imposed a lot of restrictions on that country with regard to expenditure is concerned. Lot of restrictions. Because of those restrictions, government expenditure reduced, poverty increased, unemployment increased. Because of that, the country is not happy with the existing administration, and that's why they have overthrown the existing Prime Minister, Mr. Antonis Samaras, and new Prime Minister was elected, Alexis Tsipras. Right? Let us move on to the next issue. When it comes to the economy and banking, the first and the foremost thing is Coal India Limited disinvestment. What is disinvestment? Reducing the government share in public sector undertakings is known as disinvestment. how it differentiates with privatization. Privatization is nothing but reducing the government stake to below 51%, whereas disinvestment is reducing the government stake, but it should not go down below 51%. That means in the Coal India Limited example, if you see, Government of India has got 90% stake initially before disinvestment. Its stake now got reduced to 80% approximately. That means 10% of the shares were sold. So by selling approximately 10% of the shares, government got 22,558 crores, which is the highest ever. This is the record of disinvestment. By selling 10% of CIL shares, government got 22,558 crores, which is the record ever disinvestment so far. So government is planning to sell stakes in other public sector undertakings also. Because of disinvestment, accountability will be increased. Government will unlock the potential of public sector undertakings. So there are so many advantages of this. So anyhow, please remember, government got 22,558 crores by disinvestment of 10% shares in CIL. The other aspect is, out of these shares, almost 50% were bought by another public sector giant, Life Insurance Corporation. Right? Look at the next issue. Government not to appeal in 3,200 crore Vodafone case. What is Vodafone case? Normally, multinational companies, they will have their parent company somewhere in USA. Vodafone is one such company. Of course, its base is in UK. So, some company, multinational company, will have its base in foreign country and its subsidiaries will be here in some other country. If you look at Vodafone, its base is in UK, its subsidiary is in India. Sometimes what happens is, these shares are allotted to the parent company. These shares are allotted to the parent company because the transaction is between two companies, parent and its subsidiary. There is every possibility that shares will be allotted at very less price, lesser than the market price. This is known as transfer pricing. Government, if it feels that it is not proper, they will impose tax. Recently, Pune BPO shares were allotted to Vodafone, parent company. Their income tax department imposed 3,200 crores as tax, as it felt that the shares were undervalued and were allotted at very less price, and were allotted at lesser price. Then Vodafone did not pay that and they went to Bombay High Court. Bombay High Court gave order in favor of Vodafone. Now Government of India do not want to take the matter to Supreme Court. That means whatever happened is happened. So it almost agreed with the judgment of Bombay High Court. It almost agreed with the judgment of Bombay High Court. That means government not has any intention of going to the Supreme Court. And Government of India also advised income tax authorities to follow similar line of action in similar cases. In identical cases, follow similar line of action. This was the advice given by them, right? So, transfer pricing case, 3,200 crore. Government is not challenging the order of the Bombay High Court, right? Look at the next one. FDI to India was up by 26% in 2014. FDI increased to $35 billion, right? Now, total FDI inflow last year, what is FDI? Foreign direct investment. That along with it, technology transfer will also take place and lot of jobs will be created. FDI is good for a capitalistic society, and definitely the idea of the economist is, because of FDI, technology transfer will take place, employment generation will be there, and last year we attracted $35 billion and it is more than 26% in comparison to 2013. In comparison to 2013, it is increased by 26%, right? So we got FDI of $35 billion last year, but you see total FDI across the world is $1,260 billion, and China topped the list with $128 billion. Hong Kong, very small country, attracted $111 billion. So China topped the list of FDI with $128 billion. Its FDI is almost 4 times that of India's. So we need more foreign direct investments, especially in our infrastructure, right, and other sectors. Right. Let us move on to the next one. Base year for calculating GDP changed from 2004-5 to 2011-12. Here 2 things happened. Base year was changed from 2004-5 to 2011-12, and there is also a change in the methodology. Previously it used to be calculated with factor cost, but now it is being calculated at market price. There are 2 changes, remember. One is base year for calculation of GDP changed from 2004-5 to 2011-12. The second thing is the methodology changed from factor cost has been done away with, and now the GDP will be calculated based on the market price. The difference between factor cost and market price is probably beyond the scope of this discussion, and if anyone has got interest, I would like to explain this in my banking lectures in future. And for the time being, please remember 2 things were changed. One is 2004-5 will no more be the base year. The new base year will be 2011-12. And the second one is GDP will be calculated based on market prices but not on factor cost because of these 2 changes. 2012-13 GDP got revised from 4.5 to 5.1%. 2013-14 GDP got revised from 4.7 to 6.9%. Right? Please remember these 2 points. Right? Let us look at the sports and games. "35th National Games were inaugurated at the newly built stadium." You are looking at the beautiful stadium which was recently constructed, that is Karyavattam Stadium near Thiruvananthapuram. It was built at a cost of 161 crores, especially for national games. So it was inaugurated in that beautiful stadium by the Honorable Union Cabinet Minister for Urban Development, Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu, and at the same time Chief Minister Mr. Umen Chandy, along with Union Minister of State for Sports Mr. Sarbanda Sonwal also participated in this. I would like to tell you 2-3 things about these events. The events will be held over a span of 15 days across 7 cities in Kerala. The second point is goodwill ambassador for these games is Sachin Tendulkar. Third point is Karyavattam Stadium was constructed exclusively for these games at a cost of 161 crore rupees. And the fourth one is the mascot of the games is Ammu. You are looking at Ammu now. Right? Let us move on to the next one. Winners of the Australian Open tennis tournament. Australian Open is part of the Grand Slam tennis tournament, and here this is the first tennis tournament which takes place in the beginning of the year. This year it took place, normally it takes place in the month of January, and this year Serbia's Novak Djokovic became the winner in men's singles, and Serena Williams became the women's singles winner, and Serena Williams won her 19th title, remember. Serena Williams won her 19th title, and the world record in women's singles was held by Margaret Court with 24 titles. Next followed by Steffi Graf with 22 titles. So Margaret Court with 24 titles, and Serena Williams, who is now 33 years, she belongs to United States of America, and she is very near to reach that feat. Now already she has won 19 titles. And remember, mixed doubles was won by India's Leander Paes and Switzerland's Martina Hingis. Right? These things please don't forget. Let us move at the last issue of the day. It is the demise of the world famous cartoonist Mr. R.K. Lakshman. The full name is Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Lakshman, who was born in 1921, who lived 93 years, and he was born at Mysore. He was the brother of Mr. R.K. Narayan, who was the famous writer, famous for Malgudi days, and Mr. R.K. Lakshman became the famous cartoonist. I would like to tell you two things. One is he created the common man. He depicts common man in almost all the cartoons. And please remember, his common man caricature in all the cartoons, in the memory of his common man or depicting his common man, a statue was also established at the Symbiosis College in Pune. 8 feet statue was established, and Mr. R.K. Lakshman worked with Times of India, famous cartoon column, every one of you knows, that is You Said It, depicting the common man, and he worked with Times of India for almost 50 years, more than 50 years, and his autobiography is The Tunnel of Time, and one of the greatest caricaturists of post-independent India. Initially, he sketched for his brother R.K. Narayan's stories. His brother was a famous storyteller. Initially, he has drawn the cartoons for his brother's books. First, he joined Free Press Journal. Subsequently, he shifted to Times of India. He worked with Times of India for almost more than 50 years. So remember, The Tunnel of Time is his autobiography. Born in Mysore, lived for 93 years. R.K. Narayan is his brother. R.K. Narayan is famous for Malgudi days. And Mr. R.K. Lakshman is the winner of Padma Vibhushan as well as Raman Magsaysay Award. And with him, we have to say goodbye to not only Mr. R.K. Lakshman but also to common man. With this, I wind up today's lecture.